Hey guys, welcome into the Falaya Focus studio and today's podcast with Chris Hilliard of Suds. We're excited to be talking to him all about entrepreneurship, getting started, developing a web and mobile application, what it takes to get started, and the Baton Rouge entrepreneur here. So we definitely want to highlight everything that he's got going on, and we're excited to be talking to him today.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barrett. Thank you for having me, man. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate the invitation.
Well, you've been doing some great stuff, man, and we're glad to be highlighting you here today. I've definitely been impressed with everything that you've been doing over the last 6 months. I know it's extremely hard, and sometimes you're in the middle of it all by yourself, and you don't get acknowledged or you don't get the camaraderie ship. So I'm looking forward to this conversation just to know you better, number one, and number two, to tell the world about what you got going on with Suds. And awesome. So I guess tell us first, who you are and kind of what do you do?
All right. So my name is Chris Hilliard, and I am originally from Lafayette. I was born and raised there. In about 2015, I got married after graduating from UL, moved here to Baton Rouge, started school at Southern, ended up graduating with my MBA in 2019, all while trying to start and run a business, right? And then went on to work for corporate America for 3 years. Felt like I got what I needed, from a business standpoint, from a professional standpoint, and I transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship. So now I'm here, co-founder of Suds Laundry Services, authored a book in 2020.
Really?
Yeah, I did. You didn't know? I had to get
research. I didn't see that. Yeah. I should have done some more research.
No, but and aside from that, speaking engagements, do diversity, equity, inclusion work, consulting work on the side. Yeah. So, just full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to Lafayette because we got Jacob here. He's representing
337.
I don't know if you know, we went through the Opportunity Machine in Lafayette.
Okay.
Have you been over to there?
No, I did not.
When you get back there, definitely go check them out, man. They're doing some really cool stuff with the startup community there, and they have an awesome building and great support structure with some awesome, talented people.
Awesome.
Trying to grow entrepreneurship in Lafayette, much like the tech park. But,
okay. Makes sense.
Anyway, and Jacob's down there. He's got a desk, and he's obviously in Lafayette, so we got plenty of roots. So tell us a little about UL and how you enjoyed UL and kind of how you started your impetus of wanting to do business, I guess.
Well, I will say if we got to go back to that, I got to go a little back kind of far to where I was born and raised within Lafayette, which is the north side of town. I'm pretty sure Jacob's familiar with that. It's kind of like the north side of Baton Rouge, with poverty-stricken areas and that sort of thing, growing up in what they call the hood, right?
Right.
And so that, truthfully, kind of inspired me and kind of lit that fire for me to do the things that I'm doing now. Created that entrepreneurship spirit in me.
Right.
And that was cultivated organically. And then from there, I actually started cutting hair when I was 12. And so that's kind of, started cutting hair out the house for $7 at 15, out of my grandparents' house. And from there, dude, it just was
that grind, just trying to get it and take control of your situation and be able to pick your own outcome. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is just taking the bull by the horns. That's awesome, man.
Agreed.
I mean, starting at that young age, I think I did like leaf collections, and I did swept driveways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did all that. Yeah. I didn't do hair, though. I probably should have. I got that hair, dude. I don't know.
No.
But no, I don't think I could hold my hand straight in that, man. Were you doing it with the clippers?
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
you were doing it
with
with clippers? Okay.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy, but out of my grandparents' house, $7 a head, and they were coming to me.
Really?
Yeah, and eventually, just to kind of let you know, when I was 19, I started cutting hair in a barbershop.
Okay.
And I got my license through an apprenticeship program. So technically, I'm a Louisiana licensed barber to this day.
So you got that fallback, huh?
Yeah, I always got a fallback, right?
That fallback,
but that's a piece of my entrepreneurship journey too, because while in college, while in undergrad, I was cutting hair in a barbershop. And,
okay.
I was making money, paying my way through school and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part that people don't want to tell you about entrepreneurship, I think, is that it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
And so you've got to have a way to create value or revenue or put food on the table.
Figure it out.
You know what I
Right,
mean? You
right.
got to figure it out. You know,
Right.
it's like balancing like month to month for me. It's like, it gets real every month.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
No.
For me,
Agreed.
it's definitely a balancing act. And so having that can be pretty cool. So, UL, what made you come to Southern? I guess the next step was Southern.
Great question. So the story is deep, right? You'll figure it out as we go. But I came to Southern for law school.
Okay.
I did a year of law school at Southern. Figured out that it wasn't for me, and I also dropped out right after a year, which was great because I heard about the MBA program at Southern, and they were telling me how good it was. And I went to law school not to be an attorney, but to be a sports agent. That's what I was interested in throughout undergrad, and they told me, you got to be an attorney. You got to be an attorney. You got to have a law degree or whatever it was. So went to law school, and I'm like, no, this is not what I'm looking for, And this was before sports agency was a fad. Now it's like this big thing, and people it's a lot of attention is going through it. But I'm talking about like over 10 years ago, So that was that. I dropped out. I went to the MBA program. I'm like, okay, I always wanted my own business, right? I was going to have my own sports agency firm. So now I'm like, okay, let me do a concentration in entrepreneurship. And I randomly took an HR class within my curriculum, and I found out, okay, this is cool too. This is something that I could do for in the corporate sector, because I knew what I was working on as an entrepreneur. I wouldn't be able to feed my family, right, coming straight out of the MBA program. So I'm like, all right, if I got to go work for somebody, at least I can do HR. It's cool.
Yeah. So my dad's an attorney, right?
Okay.
And Jacob's wife's an attorney.
Awesome. Congrats, Jake.
She's she's an IP lawyer. I wish we had her.
Congrats.
I wish we had her back in the day when we had to do the name change, but she could maybe be on the roll call if we need her again. Hopefully not. But anyway, I had the similar thing. Like, my dad was an attorney.
Okay.
Do I go into becoming a lawyer? Like, it's a good idea. And then I just started looking around, honestly, at the lawyers and my friends that are lawyers, and they were absolutely miserable. Like they were billing per 6 minutes. They hated their life, and they're like, it's like, why would you go down that road and read all those books and learn all that just to end up being on a clock for every 6 minutes of your life? I mean, I know at some point it's going to get better. In 10 to 15 years, it'll get better. You'll make partner. It'll be okay.
Right.
But that's 10 or 15 years of your life, dog. I don't know. So I was like, I went and got my MBA too, right?
Okay.
I completely did the exact same thing. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be a lawyer, and it doesn't suit my trades, right?
Yeah, right.
Better at speaking, trying to come up with ideas, execute.
Personable.
Yeah. I don't want to read a document and change a sentence to get somebody
to rethink what they just said.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of value in that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Don't get me wrong. And my dad's been extremely successful, and no doubt Sarah will be successful. But it just wasn't for me either.
Yeah.
So I completely agree.
Yeah,
Kind of a good decision. I think from knowing your personality, I think it was a good decision on what you did.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, Southern has a great program out there. I know somebody that's going into their law program, and I know somebody that's going to the MBA, and they've come out
fantastic.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fantastic, I must say.
Yeah. It is. And I hope at some point, we had a meeting the other day here with the Tech Park and LSU and Southern, and they're trying to team up and try to get the Tech Park and LSU and Southern to all come together and try to get some type of co-working or space where they could try to create. And it'd be really cool if they could bring the MBA program or something like that, or some of those higher level courses, and get them to interact more with LSU and the Tech Park, right? So we ought to think and game plan that, you and me. Because I got my MBA at LSU. I'm connected to Dana Hart. You're connected to Southern. I think it could be a cool 1-2 punch if we could get them all together.
For sure.
Anyway, we can all dream, right?
Right. We'll make it happen.
But anyway, so all right. So you went into corporate America. I know I kind of wanted to glance on that. You graduated, and then you went into, was it Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah.
Kind of tell me about how that transition happened and what it was like working in corporate.
It was awesome and very beneficial. from an entrepreneurship standpoint, I went in, like I said, I didn't really know what human resources was prior to the program, but then I learned it's literally taking the talent you have, taking individuals, right, and maximizing their efficiency. Like,
Right.
what are you best at? Let's see where to put you. That's human resources, right? And so I learned more about it. I got into it at Blue Cross, actually talent acquisition. So I started hiring.
Okay.
And I started working with leaders, different hiring leaders in like different divisions from like finance, HR, legal, that sort of thing. Just hiring people, bringing people on. And then I got into diversity, equity, and inclusion work.
Right.
And I gained a passion for that while there. And I started doing more that type of work. Then eventually I went into the DE&I partner role, which was great because I did a lot of internal and external DE&I work. But overall, my experience, I think, like I said, was very beneficial because it allowed for me to just grow. And it allowed for me to understand, like, and conceptualize what a business looked like from an operational standpoint, on that level, right? Because we're talking Fortune 100.
That's
company,
what I'm trying to say is that's no small box. That's a big shop. I mean, that's Blue Cross Blue Shield is a lot of people and a lot of jobs and a lot of HR, and there's a whole lot of compliance
for sure
baked into that.
Yes,
I mean, because you've got medical and all kind of HIPAA rules and. I mean, it is.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Believe it or not, Randall is actually working with them on working on their website and some of their stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
and trying to get it better streamlined because, man, some of those things, you got all those legacy systems and you got the customer portal, the staff portal, and I'm sure like connecting all that. Is just,
and when it's not a tech company or like tech friendly, then sometimes it can get lost. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And they burn through, like you said, and what I really liked about what you said is the point. People hate HR. Like, no offense, the same thing. They hate realtors, right? They hate realtors too. So I'm not picking on you as HR, but people hate HR and they hate realtors, right? But there's good ones out there, right?
Yeah,
and there's great realtors and there's great HR managers. And what you said was a great HR manager thing, which was creating efficiencies and you maximizing your staff, right? A lot of people think it's HR, protect the business, fire people and let them go, right? Like, how do you change that perspective? And that's what's really important because a lot of people look at it as, oh shit, HR is coming for me. You know what I mean?
No, and it's funny that you say that because before taking this class in the graduate program, all I knew about was HR was that was the people that paid you and the people that pissed at you, right? That was all I knew about it. So to really get in and understand that, man, this is the people that's really like taking care of the talent, doing these engagement surveys, doing these training and developments, taking care of people's benefits, making sure people are getting paid fairly, those sorts of things. It encompasses so much, so broad. And more importantly, I learned about what creating a culture looked like and how important a culture is because I think if you look at a company's HR department, right, that's the perfect reflection of that culture as a company as a whole. Because I feel like the HR is like the heart of a company, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Right. Just
so I completely agree with you. Like that's the heartbeat of the company is the people that work for you, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if Jacob's not on it or I'm not on it, it's going to come
podcast.
through. No podcast, and the customers are going to be like, "What the hell?" I mean. So you got to have a good culture and people answering the phone. And even when we're training up the new hires that we've hired recently, we've got to instill that. Yep. And that's what HR is all about is how do you grow that? So what was kind of your hack to create culture? Or how did you penetrate that? Because it's really hard in something that big to affect change.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think starting off, so I just I leveraged the relationships that I had, right? So I was creating relationships with these hiring leaders, and it vast from a range of like managers all the way to senior execs, right? And so I'm sitting in conversations, having meetings with these different hiring leaders, and so I start to, of course, like you and I, we use our charisma sometimes, right? We
Sure.
leverage that, and and that kind of gets us in the door, and it gets us good grace with certain people, right? Sometimes it's needed, right?
Yeah.
And so, just a lot of that, I leaned on, my personality, I leaned on my business acumen, and I kind of started like cultivating these relationships. And from that, the influence was kind of what spread, right? Because if you got like top leaders on board that are saying like, look, DE&I is presenting this material. They say that is good work. Chris is leading the charge of it. We signed off on Chris, and then so people start buying in, and so I think one of the most important pieces of all that, when it starts at the top, right?
Oh, for sure.
Starts at the top.
It does. And I think the biggest thing that I think is emotional intelligence.
Oh,
and what I
without a
mean
doubt.
is like, what is that person motivated by? What's going to get them going?
Yep.
Like, is it time off with their family? Is it more money? Is it accolades? What is it that person's searching for? How can we get them what they need to grow and feel like they're in the right place for their life to grow and to expand? And it's hard because it's different for every single person. And that's what HR, you at scale, it's hard to do it, but you also have to be micro analyzing, like, what does Chris want?
Yep.
What does Jacob want?
Yep.
What does these people want? Because you've got to give it to them and get them motivated to continue to produce for the company and feel like they're winning, right? Because that's ultimately what you want. You want them to feel like they're accomplishing their goals, they're growing their career, they're learning a new trade, whether that's recording a podcast, whether that's doing green screen, whether that's HubSpot automation. You want those people to understand that they're growing. And we found that that's extremely important, even with developers, right?
Yeah.
When you bring on the developers, you want them to be excited too, right? In an app. So.
And to that point, so like our drivers, for instance, I like to tell our drivers, I said, look, more than likely you won't retire with Suds, right? More than likely, right? But I want you to gain everything that you can while here, right? So that's not just a paycheck, right? Lean on your resources, lean on me, lean on our HR manager, lean on whomever it is. What are you interested in outside of Suds? Are you in college? Okay, what can I do for you there in that space? Do you need an internship? We've done things like that, either gotten drivers up to our interns or, giving them relationships, to where they got other internships. So, yeah, I'm all about that, man. Got to figure out, got to dig deep and see what motivates them, see what their purpose is, what their passions, where their passions lie, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, HRs could be a whole podcast.
Right, it really could be. Don't get me started on HR. I'm not here for HR.
I mean, it could be, because there's so many elements to it, and the human element is pretty much everything.
Yep.
You can create, like, we're trying to automate the real estate process, right? And we do that through forms automation. We do that through a lot of process automation with emails and green screen technology, going out to educate our consumers on how to sell a house.
Awesome.
But at the end of the day, they still got to talk to somebody, and they still have to get some questions answered at some point on how to do it on the Falaya platform, or how to do this, or hire us for higher levels of service. And so the reality is they're going to need support. And no matter how much you automate something, you're always going to need the human. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. I mean, it might automate some jobs like Snap GPT with scripts and other things, but it's never going to fully automate.
I was just about to say, no matter what, no matter how many self-checkout machines that you see when you go to the grocery store, they'll always have lines. Even if it's 2 lines, they'll always have lines with people on them, because everybody needs a person. Somebody needs to have that person to touch.
Oh, you're about to get me fired up. I'm going to tell you what, man. I go to Walmart and I go to I'm like, no. I'm not spending $400 at Walmart and checking out my own groceries, dude. So listen, you need to check them out, and you need to bag them. I just spent $400.
Hey, I knew we had something in common. So listen, I go and I ask the associates, do I get a discount? I say, do I get an employee discount? Because as of now, I'm working for y'all, right? Okay. But yeah, no, seriously.
And a 401k.
And a 401k.
Give me some health insurance.
Right.
Go talk to Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's hard being an entrepreneur. They don't give you that.
Right? For sure.
Man, health insurance is expensive when you're out on your own. Ain't no doubt about it. But anyway, man. All right. So what after Blue Cross Blue Shield, what was the next step? Was that into Suds or where are we at?
Well, so Suds actually started in the MBA program.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah. So it was a former colleague of mine who had the idea. He was from Vegas, right?
Okay.
And he said, there's this service that they're providing on the West Coast. It's really cool. It's all through an app. He knew a guy. So here's a tidbit. I am not a software developer. I do not know the tech piece, right? But he knew a guy in California who was going to University of Arizona for computer science.
Okay.
So he had just graduated, and he started building out this platform. So I ended up buying in. We brought on the guy as a partner rather than a developer because we were outsourcing him, right?
Right.
So we gave him a piece of the company. We brought him on. We started to build up the company, build up the brand. We brought on another partner who invested a significant amount of money in his time. And so we started building it. And then this was in 2018 is when I joined. In 2019 is when we really rolled it out, right? Because it took a year to develop the software. It took a year to start building the brand. You know what I'm talking about. So in 2019 we started rolling. We got an adventure challenge at LSU, won second place, and 225 magazine, BR Business Report. Okay. And so we started rolling, right? Picking up, momentum was gaining. And then in 2020, we were getting released, in March 2020, we were getting released in 225 magazine, full page featured article. And something else happened in March 2020 called COVID. And that just smacked us, right?
Yeah.
And so thankfully we were able to recoup, and that's aside from the point we were able to get a government contract, and that helped out a ton. And so in last summer in June, I put in my 2 weeks at Blue Cross. I said, I'm gonna do this entrepreneurship thing full-fledged, and thankfully.
So you've been all in since June.
Since June, yeah.
So it's only been that. Man.
Yeah, and you said 6 months. That's why I was like, it made sense. Yeah. So
yeah, that's awesome though. That's scary as shit though.
Yeah,
right?
It's very, very scary. And Jacob, I thought about Jacob when you mentioned his wife being an IP attorney, right? Because in this field, I feel like it's always important as an entrepreneur to have some type of support. I feel like trying to just jump off the ledge as an entrepreneur with nobody, with no help, I don't see how you could really do it. I could be wrong, but even from a family standpoint, or like somebody significant that would just support you throughout.
It's definitely important to have that people supporting you. Without Julie, none of this goes, right?
Yeah,
my wife.
yeah.
If she's not supporting me doing this, it's a wrap, right?
Yep.
Same thing with Jacob. If Sarah's not on board, the ship's gonna sink for him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you've got to have those people backing you up, and they've got to be behind it. And it's almost like you're not just selling your customers,
right?
You've got to get everybody
Selling
around you. I'm telling you, you got to get everyone around you to believe in it and to get it going up the hill and keep it going. And the hard part isn't getting it going. The hard part is keeping it going, because it's that persistence fact that's really important, because it's easy. Everybody's excited on the first day.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, dude, it's fun. The first day, it's a blast, dude.
Orientation's
oh my
cool.
God, the lights are bright. They're beautiful, cool lights back here, right? What happens in a year, right? The lights begin to fade, and who's still standing there? Because that's the reality of entrepreneurship. Is it's going to take way longer to get it going than you think. If you think it's going to take 2 years, probably going to take 4, right? And so
hitting it on the head.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it sounds like you got some really cool stuff. So tell us a little bit about what Suds does, or
great.
What exactly it
because we didn't talk much about that.
Well, let's get into it, man. Yeah.
So from the user side, I'm gonna talk about it kind of twofold. So from the user side, what it is, it's a platform. Right now, it's just a mobile app. Soon to be iPad and all that. You'll be able to download it on iPads and stuff. But currently, it's a mobile app where customers can download the app, create an account, set up a pickup and delivery, time and date. We come by, we pick up your clothes. We provide you with either wash and fold or dry cleaning services, and normally have it to you back within the 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround, depending on your choice. So that's from the user side. And then from the other side, we do not have a brick and mortar building. That's actually why we're in the tech park. We can have an office here. We don't have a brick and mortar building because we don't actually clean clothes. We work with local laundromats and dry cleaners to do the actual washing and folding and processing, dry cleaning, all that of clothes, which is super cool because that goes to my second part of our technology. We empower local laundromats and mom and pop businesses to get an untapped customer base, right?
Sure.
We provide them with Suds customers. We provide them with the brand and that sort of thing. And as of now, they do not have the system, but we are, in fact, working on a SaaS system, point of sale system for them. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, that's a lot to unpack, but that is really, I think that, there's a lot of competitors in this space. I mean, there are definitely other people in the space, but there's plenty of people in the real estate space, right? So don't let that stop you, right? At the end of the day, you just need to do your research and figure out what's working, listen to your customers and iterate, right? So I guess, we know from the Opportunity Machine in Lafayette, a Hamper, right?
Yep.
They do similar thing where they pick it up, but it goes to the consumer's house and then they fluff and fold it and then they drop it back off. So it's like different than yours.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely a different model.
A different model. And they're strictly doing fluff and fold, right?
Yeah, I don't believe
they're not doing dry cleaning, right? Yeah. Which is a huge, for someone like me, like I think the dry cleaning is when I need my suit done or I need, you know what I mean, for a meeting. Right. I don't wear it every day.
Right, you don't. You don't go.
I'm not pimping like you.
I wouldn't say that. But to your point. So from what I understand, Hamper doesn't have dry cleaning, and their model is unlike ours. From the simple fact of they don't have facilities either. Neither of us have facilities, but we actually work with partners who do the cleaning,
which is kind of cool. Like, so do you sell? You go and call on these businesses?
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of cool too, because Hamper is like Falaya in some aspect that it has to sell a consumer, right? Or a person that owns a washer and dryer to fluff and fold, right?
Yep.
Whereas you could immediately go to these laundromats and have scale at, huge scale, right?
Yeah.
In a day, if you had a partnership with that, you could have scale at huge scale in a city,
And granted, so to that point, you're exactly right because the scaling aspect could be huge. The other piece to it though is quality control.
I would agree.
Yes,
those two things. I actually think your model might benefit, right?
I'm huge on that, right? Because everything is high quality. We started this from the conception of the business. So from 2018, we pride ourselves on quality, from the user experience that the app is, from the brand, the logos, all our intellectual properties, all that, right? And then, of course, the service itself. So being able to know, okay, this is, first off, these are professionals with decades of experience, right? They know what they're doing. They're consistent, right? It's consistent service. We're not knowing what we'll get and when we'll get it, right? And then the other thing is just kind of scoping them out. So as of now, I find all our partners, right? I go there, I create these relationships. Before I even go and tell them who I am and what Suds is, I go place orders with them. And I check out their quality. So I'm big on that.
I don't blame you because you got to stand behind it, right?
Yep.
That's the other side of it is you have to stand behind the work, right? It's much easier to control your brand that way than it would be at scale. You can try to train people to fold it your way.
It's not easy. I went to a wash and fold conference last year.
It's not easy, dude. Julie's been trying to train me for years.
Still hasn't worked. Well, that's what you say. I think you might be lying, but it
still ain't took. I actually do fold the towels differently because of the way she does it. She has like the 3-fold method.
I do the 3-fold.
I was like, that looks pretty cool. It looks like it's out of a magazine. I was like, I used to just fold it in half and fold it up and throw it in the shelf.
No,
dude.
Man.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm learning. I'm a work in progress.
That's cool.
But that's cool. I do think that can actually benefit the users because number one, they know the quality they're getting, they know when they're going to get it.
Yep.
And then scale. And then you've got your partners driving your business too. Which could be cool in a sphere.
And the other piece to that is when while we're building out this model, when we provide it to them, they'll also be able to have their customers go through Suds, right?
Right.
So their customers can, actually use us going into it. So, yeah, man, it's super important. Like you said, quality, consistency, all of that is huge. And then we're actually implementing a feature as well to where you'll be able to pick exactly where you want it going.
Okay.
And then you'll also be able to rate and see reviews.
Yeah,
right?
that's the idea with Falaya as well, right?
Yeah. So just like the Uber Eats concept or the Waiter concept, knowing where your food comes from.
Yeah, you can rate everybody, we were thinking rate both the buyer, seller, and the agent, right? Everybody. You don't want to work with this buyer. This buyer is crazy.
Horrible.
Horrible. Didn't show up for 5 tours, never showed up, never called back. Yeah, like you never know.
Bad business.
Bad business. Anyway, anyway. But so I guess so web and mobile application, where have you been doing that, or where are y'all at in that? And I guess tell us how you started that. I guess you had that partner that came in, and then where are you at today, I guess?
Okay, so great question. So when we initially started, the build out was ready in about 2019. 2020, we started developing the second reiteration of the app. That also came with a driver app connected to it, and then an app dashboard. And so that's what we're currently using. And then we're working on the next iteration of it now. And my partner, shout out to Hayden Monarch, who's absolutely great. He's our CTO, and he owns his own software firm in California. He works out of San Francisco, California. And he runs everything tech. So that's why,
you feel pretty confident about it.
I'm not doing it. I know who's doing it. He is. And so they're working on that now. We have like a ton of new features that we're doing. I didn't really mention much about this, but we're servicing commercial organizations now. We do commercial work. So we work with like YMCA, Southern University, LSU Performance Nutrition, LaBerge, and that sort of thing. So we're actually building out a system that will be completely tailored to organizations for commercial services. So they'll be able to have a system set up where they get invoiced and all that. It's coming out. I don't want to say too much, but
I get it. No, you're good. You don't got to tell me. I get it. That's a big market, right? A lot of this, and they're constantly having to do linens and other stuff and dry cleanings, and you're doing it. I mean, Cintas? That's a big player, right? Cintas. And I mean, heck, there's plenty of market to go around for everybody in that space.
Without a doubt.
You know what I mean?
You'd be surprised.
I know. You would be very surprised. I used to work when I was in my 20s, I did a lot of events and waiting tables, bussing, and dude, I saw all that, picking up from all the restaurants too, and all of those shops. I mean, there's so much tablecloths and napkins and dude, it's unbelievable,
crazy.
Right?
It's crazy.
Aprons for the waiters,
chef jackets. We do all that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's a big deal, and those things get dirty every day.
Every day.
If they're not getting dirty, they ain't making no money. You know what I mean?
Case in point.
So they're getting dirty. They're either going out of business or their stuff is getting dirty.
Right.
So that's cool. That's definitely a interesting, market to go after, because that's definitely not what Hamper's going after, right?
Yeah, not
at all, right? So I mean, that's not even in the same ballpark of what they're doing, right? So that's an interesting play, and there's probably not a lot of tech in that space, right? Is there?
No. There's not.
I wouldn't think there is, because it's real paper intensive. I remember when I saw Cintas, I hadn't been working in the restaurants for over 10, 15 years, but so maybe it's gone drastically different. But I mean, it was pretty paper intensive at that point.
No, it still is. It's definitely still kind of behind. So
because I mean, why not? It's just pick up a lot. I mean,
invoicing. They don't see much wrong with it, but and a lot of it is like, for instance, organizations that use us, they have like regular scheduled pickups, but with this new application that they'll have, like you may have pickups that you need that's not on Monday. That's not on Thursday.
Right.
So you can go in and request it. They'll have their payment methods on file, so it'll invoice as soon. Like all of that.
The other thing that's for me, like I partner with a lot of trades, like AC guys, heating guys, flooring,
Makes
painting.
sense. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And man, when you start selling so many houses, the invoice thing becomes a problem because it's like there's so much coming
so
at
many
you.
people owe you.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you're like, how do I get this paid and this paid? And man, to streamline that could save people a lot of time, which time is money because then they're servicing their clients, not dealing with an invoice, and so it definitely is a huge factor. So do you do any of the software like managing the teams or anything, or does he just take all of that?
That is Hayden. That is all Hayden.
Okay.
What I do is I communicate directly with, we have a guy that's over the tech team, right?
Okay.
Because Hayden oversees the overall software development firm, but we have a guy that's specifically
project manager.
Yeah, for us, right? For our developers, right? And so that's who I'm in constant contact with, whether it's developments, whether it's implementation with certain features, what customers are seeing, what we're having issues with.
Sure.
That's my point of contact, and he's great. His name is Riley. He's great at it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you got to have that.
Got to.
I know. Unfortunately, I am that.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
We have Randall in place too, but he's focused on a lot of other projects, and so I've had to take on that role a lot.
And I mean, dude, you so diverse. Just being able to know that and still having the capabilities you have to network and that personality and stuff, that's huge.
But the thing is, at some point, we need more people and more support, right?
Yep.
Because you got to go grow the business like you know, and I need to be on that attack more than in it, right?
Agreed.
And so it's always that, like you were talking about earlier, working to grow the business or working in the business.
Yep.
And as a founder, that's the hardest part is how do you transition from working in the business to working to grow the business. And, we're working on that, putting people in place for the transaction team and all these automations that are going out that we've put in place. So we're working on it.
That's great.
But it's
awesome.
It's
time. It takes time, right?
Yeah, I would say it's really hard. And it's also, as a founder, you got to let go, right?
Oh,
and
God,
that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, especially when you don't know the quality control purposes. Now, see, you obviously are pretty anal about that by testing people.
Micromanager, right? Not for long.
I mean, you're telling me people didn't do that? Like, are you kidding me? Like, go talk to Elon Musk. You don't think he's micromanaging?
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he's up in all the designers' business every day on everything that's going on in that car. Yeah. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? Yep. I guarantee it. You don't. I'm telling you, you let go of it. I've done it before, and it's not a good idea.
I can imagine.
It's not. I'm telling you, you let go for a month or two, and you're not on it, because the reality of the question is, and no matter how good your people are, they're never going to care as much as you. Never. It's just never going to. And it's not like you. It's not like
you can't
mean.
Get mad at them.
It's not mean. It's like unless they become vested employees, where they start to or have 10, 15, percentage ownership, then maybe that becomes different. But it's hard to require that at that stage, So you got to keep your hand on the wheel as a founder. There's just no doubt about it.
Feels good to hear that.
So you're like going out and you're delivering these things. And Jacob had a good idea that was co-marketing. When you're delivering stuff, like, do you give any like you're marketing yourself, or right now, what are you doing when you drop off something? What does that look like?
We don't. I mean, right now it's strictly marketing Suds. So like everything you get back has a Suds logo. It's definitely branded with
Oh, it's
Suds.
branded, okay.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean,
they'll know it's coming from
good.
Suds.
I mean, I hope so.
Now we can start adding, you know, like some real estate flyers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
Anything,
Maybe there's
you
a
know.
hanger that goes on there. I don't know. I'm open to interesting ways for you to drive your revenue and me to grow my business.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure. We'll
You know,
talk.
but you know, you also don't want to berate your customers with too much stuff. So it had to be
important.
It had to be tasteful. But it's an interesting aspect that he brought up. I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah,
Very much
but
so.
you have like the dry cleaning comes in like a bag that says Suds on it and all that.
Yep, we have 3 different bags. One
Okay.
dry clean bag, 2 wash and fold bags. One of the wash and fold bags, because we charge about £1 for wash and fold. So one of the wash and fold bags is a flat rate bag. You know what you're paying whenever you pay the price. You know, so.
Oh, you have a flat rate bag.
Flat rate bag.
Okay,
yeah.
that's cool.
That helps
I mean,
out a lot, so people don't question what they're paying. You know, they just kind of know up front. You know, I'm paying X amount of money.
Do you see like a certain market that's going after your product? Like who is your target consumer? Out of curiosity.
And first off, I got to shout out Nexus and Ignition.
Okay.
Because that customer discovery really helped.
Right.
To say we had been in business for so long and hadn't really started there, to kind of backtrack and reverse engineer and see, okay, this is actually our customer. We found them.
Yeah.
We found them, and it's for the most part, it's middle-aged women, as you can
Okay.
probably imagine, right? Because they're
Right.
the ones that do most of the laundry. Right?
I would agree.
So you wife,
Yeah,
we'd be going after.
No doubt. We did it. Yeah.
You got that, and then also one thing that was very interesting was college students, because we always knew that college students would big, and we always kind of marketed to college students. But what I found out through the program is we were marketing to the wrong people, because instead of marketing to them, we needed to be marketing to their parents, right?
That's who's paying.
Yeah, that's who's paying.
That's who's
so
paying.
so we started
all
doing
the
that.
money.
We're able to tailor our marketing strategies to that. And now we still have to we still need brand awareness, right, on the college campus, because they need to know about us in order to use us. But we want to sell to the parents, and so did that. And then also professionals. So professionals, you know, people that go to work every day and wear, you know, dry cleaning, right? That's the dry cleaning piece for the most part. And so, that's pretty much our top 3 customer segments in the residential side.
That's cool. That's pretty nailed that. That's exactly how you want to do it, dude.
Yeah.
If you're ever talking to an investor, that was it.
Thank you.
Jacob, rewind that. Replay. I'm kidding. That was perfect.
Running back.
Running back. That was perfect. That was
thank you,
picture
man.
perfect, dude. Very clear and I was thinking that college students would be a piece of the fluff and fold for sure, and then my wife would definitely be into it. I know.
Yeah.
You know, and the professionals, I don't have time to do that, man.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
an hour to me is a big deal. And if you can save me an hour,
That's the
it's
thing.
worth $10.
And that's a great point,
12
because
bucks.
what I always like to emphasize is we give our customers something that money can't buy in this time. Like, that's really what we're selling. We're selling convenience, right?
That's
Because,
exactly what you're
you know
selling.
what I mean? It's like, let's literally take a load off, pun intended, right? But let's take a load off you in doing this. My wife, she loves to throw around, you know, anytime you could outsource household labor is great. It's great. And that's a bunch of BS.
Right.
But for our wives, you know, we do want to look out for them,
No doubt.
and take some things off of them as well. So I just say, you know, we're not for everybody, but, you know, if time is a thing to you, if it's valuable, then yeah, so it's pretty good for that.
That's cool, man. Well, I mean, you started 2019, you're kind of here. How was the Ignition program? I guess let's get into that. Did you enjoy Ignition?
Yeah, so, well, we didn't win.
We didn't win.
We didn't win it.
I know.
Right?
There you go, man.
Yeah,
You feel like me.
We didn't win it. But shout out to Nexus and Aura, right? Because they did.
Aura won.
Won.
Oh, so you were with Aura.
Yeah, I was. Those are great guys.
Well, shout out to Aura. They were in here. I mean, I was like,
great guys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, from a customer discovery standpoint, that was one of the biggest things for us.
Right.
And then business canvas model, we really utilize that from a value proposition standpoint, just like I talked about with time. That's what we are selling, you know. So that, and then just being a part of the accelerator program, seeing what it's like, meeting new people, meeting yourself, you know, and other people like-minded entrepreneurs. and then preparing me for the next step.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's extremely important is giving support when you need that, right?
Yep.
To grow that, to refine that, to where like your answer was like spot on. And I guarantee you that's partially because you went through the ignition program. And
For
you did
sure,
that, right?
for sure,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
And so you don't have any, and it comes through when you say that and you're not quite sure. People they can feel it,
Yeah.
and investors can feel it.
Yeah.
And when you know your stuff, it's extremely important. And having those conversations, you can know what to build and not build. And it's extremely important before you build a mobile app and web app because, but consumers don't always know what they want to. So you have to or they may not even be thinking about it. Right.
Right.
They didn't think about Uber before Uber was there because Uber didn't even
Created
exist,
a market.
right?
Yep.
So maybe people didn't even think about how you're servicing these clients before. But at the end of the day, the Ignition program is great. You were talking about the Idea Institute.
Yeah. So I'm trying to follow your footsteps.
Yeah, man, it's a good program. I mean, John and his whole crew down there are doing a great job. I definitely recommend you going.
Awesome.
And doing that. It just but it's a lot of the same stuff that you did, but it can't hurt to refine it even more.
Yeah.
It is a lot of business canvas and customer discovery, but man, they just have so many good connections down there.
Yeah. So we applied for the Idea Institute through Idea Village. So I'm waiting to hear back from them and see if we accept it. And then I'm pretty sure you know about the Exxon Drive Accelerator program. So that's kind of where I am now. It's like just accelerator programs. We're not really interested in bringing on investors just yet. Okay. We're really trying to work internal and like maximize efficiencies. Like really,
I completely. That's where we're at.
Okay.
Right? So where I'm at is we're almost like right there on the way things need to be, to grow rapidly. Like that's the thing. You don't want to take on a lot of capital unless you can grow rapidly and you can actually maintain it. And I'm not talking smoke and mirrors stuff here. I'm talking about like your processes on the back end are honed in and you as a founder what's what. You know what I mean? And so us growing that with the task and the transaction flow and some of that stuff and the automation of the documents makes it extremely important for us to be able to grow. Yeah. Right.
Agreed.
Because I mean, you can sell 250 houses in a year with some brute force, but can you sell 10,000?
Great point.
I mean, to get to that point, you've got to have these automations in place. Same thing with the picking up the laundry and bringing it. If you're doing, if you're doing 50 people a day, you can just brute force it a little bit. But can you do 5,000 in a day?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not by yourself.
Not by yourself, exactly. And not without a lot of with capital. So, so on these So the capital, like for you to expand, you need trucks, I guess is the only capital?
No.
Or how are you doing the truck
That's
thing?
a great point. So now, actually our drivers for the most part use their own vehicles. Okay. So it's the same concept like Uber, Waiter, that sort of thing, like 1099s, right? Use their own vehicles.
Okay.
Get gas stipends, that sort of thing, paid by order.
I think that's important. You need to say that.
All right. Now I know in the next pitch,
I would say that's an extremely important thing that you need to say.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
And so when you talk about like capital, it has nothing to do with driver fleet. It has nothing to do with vehicles or equipment or anything like that. It's tech, right? So it's all pretty much tech. It's like how can we grow our software to get it where we want to get it, right? And then make it scalable to where we can start bringing on mom and pop dry cleaners throughout the country. You know what I mean? Make it that relative and that easy to do. And until we can do it, I'm not jumping for investors right now. We're not that's not something we're in line for, honestly. Right. It's more so let's get this down pat. Let's do every single thing we can to get this right in house, and then when it's time to pitch, we won't even have to pitch. You see what I mean? So
it's interesting. I'm hoping when you get to that point, they'll start coming for you.
Yeah,
right?
That's the hope.
That's the hope. But I mean, at the same point, you got to be aggressive. it's a double-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like the chicken or the egg. Which one do you get? Because you're all the odds of you timing it perfectly are
slim to none, right?
I know, right? So it's like, what do you got to do? And it's also about how do you survive? How do you get to the next level?
I'll say this: that's where Nexus helps out a lot because you work with Joshua yet? Josh. Okay, so Josh, I believe his last name is Pessis, and he helps with investment readiness.
Okay.
And so I've been meeting with him, and he's been doing great, like getting us ready. Yeah. So that's great. You know, obviously you use Nexus resources, so that's one of them that's huge.
It is huge. I would say that's one of the best resources they have. It was Todd that helped us.
It was Todd.
Todd Lowry, and he had to move on, unfortunately, but. Yeah, I need to meet with him.
Yeah, meet with Joshua. he's awesome.
Now that you say that, I might need to reach out to old Joshua.
Please do.
Yeah, now that you say that, I think that might be pertinent to have that conversation. But we went through the VCAP program in the spring of last year, which was kind of cool. It was cool. Okay. LSU, they had some higher level people and going and doing our business model and refining the expansion into Mississippi and into the further states that we're going to go into.
Awesome.
What does that look like if we can generate X revenue, all that type of stuff.
Awesome.
But, you know, those plans are great. You got to execute, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be able to show the investors what you're doing. You know, so really cool, man. Well, man, I've really enjoyed chatting with you, man.
Likewise,
it's been great having you on today.
Likewise.
And is there anything that we can do to help you out, man?
Not now. Maybe in the future, but if you just keep being a wealth of information, a resource to me, man, a genuine guy,
right?
That's enough. Right?
I mean, I just want to see you grow and do well, which is why we want to have you on the show. We want to highlight all the stuff that you're doing.
Thank you.
Tell people a little bit about how they can get in touch with y'all and
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So you can follow us on all of our platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Suds Laundry Services, and then myself. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Christopher Hilliard, last name 2 I's, Hilliard. We're gonna fix that, Barrett.
Oh, is it? Okay, I had it wrong. Sorry,
I got 2 I's like you.
No.
So just follow us, support us, and anyway, even a follow is cool, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you got to grow, man. I would say every little bit helps.
Yep.
We'll definitely be putting you out there on the channels. We'll be tagging you. We'll be putting all this information out there, and hopefully we see both of us grow real big in Baton Rouge, change the landscape in Baton Rouge, and bring some tech jobs here. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited to see what you do. So
awesome.
Appreciate you coming on.
A pleasure, man.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you next time here on the Falaya Focus Podcast. Hey, guys. I wanted to take a second and say thank you for watching the Falaya Focus Podcast. At Falaya, we are reimagining the way real estate is bought and sold. So we need all the love and support we can get to grow our movement. Please tell all your friends and family about all the great things that we have going on here at Falaya. Please like, share, and subscribe to all of our content, and we'll see you next time on the Falaya Focus Podcast.